Good morning. Welcome back to my channel. Rachel Talks a Lot. I'm Rachel. I'm just going to be, hopefully for the next 75 days, talking about or documenting my 75 soft journey. I did 75 hard last year and it was a good overall experience. I only made it 60 days, but it was still good. But I don't want to do that again. It's very much a commitment, and so I'm going to do 75 soft. I'm going to try and document every day and show that anyone can do it. I'm 43 and I've been overweight now since my second child was born, and she just turned 13, so quite a long time. Not as I've already lost 35 pounds slowly over the last 2 to 3 years. I'm finally what at least would be considered on the very high end of normal weight for my height, which is 5'5", and I weighed in this morning at 149.4. I've been stuck at about 150 now for months, since Thanksgiving, which I am happy about because I didn't want my weight to go up during all the holidays, and we have lots of birthdays in February. I didn't want to gain a bunch of weight during that time. So, but my weight has stalled. We're in May now, and so I'm going to really try and focus. My goals for 75 soft are 145-minute workout a day, hopefully more than that, because I want to make sure I'm getting my 10,000 steps every day or more. And so part of that 45 minutes would be 3 strength training workouts a week and full body, and then also drink 96 ounces of water, read. I'm trying to be more diligent about reading my Bible, and so I'm just following read in a year. I have not been doing it for the full year, and so I'm just doing whatever day today is and whatever the reading plan for that is. I'm not starting back over in Genesis or anything, and so read that because I would like to know my Bible better. I'm always amazed at how well my pastor, which it is his job, knows the Bible though, and so I've read through the Bible one full time, but mostly I just jump around and study certain books and stuff. So trying to be more, I figure that'd be a good, at least do it during this time, even if I don't continue afterwards. That's what I'll be reading. And I'm trying to think if there's any eat under 2,000 calories. Hopefully less than that, maybe more like 18, and to hopefully lose a pound a week would be my ultimate goal. So in today's, I'm just gonna chat while I walk for this first. This will probably end up being a little over 2-mile walk, and I'm just gonna chat about myself, introduce myself, and then hopefully you guys will come along for this journey and be encouraged to start your own. Yeah, we can become friends. So like I said earlier, my name is Rachel. I have been married for 20 years to a wonderful husband. We have 3 daughters ranging 18 down to 11. We homeschool. We've been homeschooling for about 10 years. Started homeschooling when our oldest was going into 3rd grade, mostly just because I worked second shift at the time to save on daycare. We had a lot of trouble finding daycare for when our second baby was born and our oldest was going into kindergarten. And so my job had a part-time second shift spot open, so I took that and we did that for 7 years, and then we didn't have to worry about daycare, and which was a wonderful blessing. It saved us tons of money, and then also just knew that our children were safe. And so we did that. And then when our youngest we decided we loved homeschooling after doing it for a few years, because it was kind of just like, we'll do it right now while we sort of just see year to year, just because I was tired of not seeing my daughter and not seeing my daughter day to day, and I was home during the day, and so we knew other homeschool families, so I just thought I would give it a try. Our state, and I think most states, are pretty easygoing about, if you pull your kid out, as long as you do the right paperwork, you can homeschool, and then if for some reason it doesn't work out, it's just like transferring schools or moving. You just have to fill back out the paperwork and you can put your kid back in, I think at any time, like once a year. And so we started that, and then when our daughter, our youngest, was due to go to kindergarten, we decided that we would continue homeschooling. And so then we didn't want to continue to work opposite shifts once we realized this was going to be something long term. And so we talked about and started planning for how I could leave the workforce and stay home. And so I did that in 2021, right as school was ending that year. In 2022, we were able to buy 3 acres out in the country, and we moved out there. There's a lot of pros and cons about living out in the country. You know, my husband used to be 5 minutes from work. Now he still works at the same place, and he's about 50 minutes from work. But he was willing to make that sacrifice for living out here. And show you the pretty, I can't really see the sunrise much, but it's just starting to come up. And so we've been out here now for a little over 3 years. We do love living out in the country. It's quiet, it's peaceful, it's beautiful. We really do enjoy it, but the trade-off is that we're far away from most things. Well, we do have a gas station, like a nice one, about 10-ish minutes away, that you can get, like, you know, stuff that you need if you were to run out of bread, milk. Sorry about the bouncing of the camera. Milk, stuff like that. And then all the little small towns have grocery stores. We don't mind the driving. We are home a lot with homeschooling, and unfortunately it has been a little bit harder. There's actually quite a few homeschoolers around here compared to what I thought, but with that you also have to like click with people, and it's been hard to find our people. If you homeschool, you kind of know that battle of finding the group that you want to hang out with and spend time with, and that your kids click with, that you click with. So we've had a rough time with that. We had a great friend group when my oldest was younger from our church that we went to for about 12 years, but the Lord was calling us to leave that church. There were some things that were happening that we didn't agree with, and just kind of the way, the direction the church leadership was taking the church. And so, you know, sometimes you don't realize the consequences of certain actions, like leaving a church, and, you know, how that's going to affect certain friendships and things like that. So hard realities of life. But yeah, so that's just a little background information on myself for today. All right, I'm back from my walk, just giving the outdoor kitty some love. This little girl's pregnant. Should be giving birth any day. Look over here at our beautiful iris. A lot of them. This one's gonna bloom soon. It's gonna be so pretty. All right, I finished my walk. It was about 2.5 miles, almost 5,800 steps, 45 minutes. Now I'm just sitting out on the deck, gonna go in, make breakfast, drink coffee, drink my water, and then I need to shower and get ready for the day. So today's Bible reading is 2 Samuel 6 through 7 and 1 Chronicles 17. I got my kitty and my puppy here to keep me company or to distract me. But yes, you can tell I haven't spent a lot of time. I don't have anything marked in here, so I don't really enjoy usually reading the Old Testament. That's why this is good. One of the reasons why I want to do it. And so I'm just going to pray that the Lord helps me to get whatever He wants me to get out of this reading today, and that I grow in my knowledge of Him. And so, yeah, I will hopefully take some notes and see if there's anything that stuck out to me and let you know. Hey, it's much later in the day now. We're back from running all of our errands. They all went well, and it's good to be back home. And so I'm just wanted to talk about what I read this morning in the Bible for my reading, which was 2 Samuel 6 through 7 and 1 Chronicles chapter 17, and just some of the thoughts that I had down. There wasn't a lot, and it's not going to be like super deep or anything, but I'll put the verses that I wrote down notes for up on the screen so you can see them. But for verses 6 and 7 of chapter 6, I always have a hard time when I do read this when Uzzah, he is killed. He sticks his hand out and he touches, this is when they're moving the ark, and he touches the ark because the oxen are stumbling, and just a simple mistake, like he doesn't want the ark to fall, and God kills him right then and there because you weren't allowed to touch the ark. And I just always find that like very difficult to swallow, just because it's like, in our human minds, it's like he didn't really do anything wrong, and so he was punished um, for not really like a misstep. Yes, you're not supposed to touch the ark, but it wasn't like he was disrespectfully like touching the ark or anything like that. He just, reached out because the oxen were stumbling, and God struck him down right there for his mistake. And understand that when we're reading God's word, we're not going to understand everything. We may not even like agree with everything, but we don't have to. It's not our way, it's God's way. And so he chose to put this in here. But I did, in verse 8, it says David became angry with the Lord because of killing Uzzah. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I'm with David on this one. I read that and thought like, that was a little harsh, God. I don't understand why you killed him. And so yeah, so there was that. And then it goes on, and after that happened, David was like scared to bring the ark back to where they were staying, and so he left it at someone else's house, and the Lord blessed that guy's house. And so David was like, okay, now I'm gonna go get it because I want to be blessed too. At least that's how I took it. And so he goes and gets it, and this is where he basically, from what I understand, dances around in basically like underwear in the streets, and he's supposed to be the king of Israel, and he's dancing around. And I always kind of like think to myself, that sounds like very cringy, and his wife at the time is ashamed of him. She looks out the window and she sees him, and she despises him for it. That's verse 16. She sees him, and this is, remember, he's married to Saul's daughter, and Saul hated David. And so she looks through the window and sees King David leaping and whirling before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. But I think she was embarrassed and ashamed because he's out there, later on it tells us in the chapter, like, she thinks he made a fool of himself, and he like doubles down, is like, I'm gonna be making an even bigger fool of myself because I don't care. I only care what the Lord thinks, which is good. But I also agree. I can relate. I shouldn't say I agree, but I can relate to her. And I do think that like David gets a little mean in some ways because he talks about, he chose me instead of your father and all of his house to appoint me ruler over the people. of the Lord over Israel. And so, he's defending his position that he's king and he can do what he wants. And so that is true, and the Lord wasn't mad at him. I know I shouldn't even say this, but I'm not really a big David fan. I, he does some very questionable things. And yes, he's described as a man after God's own heart, but, and that should give us encouragement that we don't need to be perfect. So then in chapter 7 of 2nd Samuel and 1st Chronicles 17, they're just the same story but recorded in two different parts of the Bible. It's where David wants to build a temple to replace like the ark. He's like in his big, castle or temple or place that he stays, and he's saying how the Lord just has like, is under curtains and stuff, and we should build, a permanent temple for him. And so then God tells Nathan, the Lord tells Nathan what to tell David, and it's basically like that he doesn't want David to build that. God tells him he's going to establish his house forever, meaning Jesus. God's going to build his own house, and so he doesn't want David to. And then he also goes on to say too that I think Saul is going to build a temple down the line, but that Jesus was going to come. This is when he tells him Jesus is going to come from his bloodline, basically. I don't know if David realizes what this all entails, but that's what it's prophesying to us, is like foretelling of Jesus coming. And of course, David is in agreement with the Lord. He's like, yeah, of course, I want my line to go on forever and to be established forever. That sounds amazing. Like, and is, of course, all in on this plan and loves hearing what the Lord has to say. Who wouldn't want to hear that God is going to establish your house forever? And so he's enthusiastically endorsing this plan that he hears from the Lord, which, yes, um, it's always great when you're getting good news from the Lord, but we'll see, I'm sure, when he gets bad news, more so how he behaves, and if he's in, as much of a grateful mood and, enthusiastically endorsing what the Lord says and does and has planned for his life. I know in Psalms there's going to be, a lot of the Lord or David crying out to the Lord because he is being hunted down, and he's already been hunted down at this point because he's already king. And it's easy for us to, when things are going good and the Lord has like good news for us, but it's a lot harder when things aren't going your way, and to be thankful. And that's definitely something that I struggle with, and just the amount of disappointment and difficulty that comes along with living in this world. And so I just am trying to trust the Lord in all things, and we'll get more into it in later videos of just some things that we have gone through, that we've had to work through, some, crisis of faith that we've had just with different things. But I love the Lord, and I am excited to read more in the Old Testament because I usually don't really focus on it. And so it has been a while since I have revisited these stories, but they are good to go back and to be just to see what the Lord does for those who trust in him, and also just to encourage us, and we get to live with the new covenant, which is awesome. We've already seen how the Lord has come back and sent his son, so we have a lot of hope. I will give my thoughts on whatever verses are scheduled for tomorrow. So this is dinner tonight. I have 2 carb tortillas and 4 ounces of meat, venison, 2 ounces on each, lettuce, tomato, some Greek yogurt, and then just 1/4 of a cup of cheese split between the two. And then to finish it off, I'll have some chocolate chips for dessert. And my calories were pretty low for today. I'll post pictures of it, but that's probably good since we have a birthday party this weekend, so I'll probably eat a little bit more. So, all right. Dessert, we got a serving of chocolate chips and my favorite flavored water, and then some beautiful flowers we bought for my mother-in-law today. We get to enjoy them for the next couple of days. So I am on my last water. that's the last thing I need to do today. So I will see you guys tomorrow for day 2. 75 soft day 1 is complete.